Every single time a new console launches, people tend to look at a few things that will help them decide on which console they want. First and foremost is the price of a console. Of course, people don't want to break the bank when they pick out a new console to play on. Next is the performance on each console. You always want the best bang for your buck. And from what's been leaked and talked about, it looks like both of these things are starting to take shape. But there's one more thing that usually gives people pause when it comes to buying a console, and that's the games they'll be able to play on it day one. That's right, launch titles. What games will we all be able to take home right when we buy the console? In this day and age, getting brand new graphic intensive games right away is almost expected. And it would seem that Xbox is going to be one of the main companies that actually provides this type of experience to you when the Xbox Series X launches. All the while, Sony and the PlayStation 5 platform might actually be lacking in this regard. A leak that happened a week or so ago talked about how the PS5 console might launch with no exclusive games, while the Xbox will launch with a considerable amount. Could the tagline "Xbox has no games" flip on its head and turn into "PlayStation has no games"? Of course it won't, but let's dive into this leak and see exactly what's being said. But before we do that, if you liked the video, hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support is greatly appreciated. Alright, so first of all, this leak is just a rumor, and I want everyone to take this with a huge grain of salt, because I find it extremely unlikely that the PlayStation 5 will not have any exclusive content to launch with the console. But I also believe that it might not have that first-party content at launch, and the release schedule of PlayStation seems to indicate that. Because as we all know, in 2020, PlayStation has only talked about The Last of Us 2, which is releasing in spring of this year. It's a massive game that's been delayed, and it's being made by one of the biggest first-party developers around in Naughty Dog. So with that being said, we already know what PlayStation has set for the spring, pretty much that game, and that's it. But as we go deeper into the summer months and maybe September, we have Ghost of Tsushima, which again is a massive first-party game. It's made by Sucker Punch, who's been working on the game for what seems like years now. But it also seems extremely well done and could be a huge new IP for the platform. Yet after these two games, there's not much else for the end of 2020, and that's what the link really hints at. Here's what the article has to say. Russian video game journalist Anton said in a recent clip that the new Xbox will have substantially more exclusive games and overall games than the PS5 at launch. It's unclear where he got his data from, and Comic Book says he had a fair share of accurate and inaccurate scoops in the past. But he was right about the announcement of Hellblade 2 and Death Stranding coming to PC, among other things. Now, this statement is a huge gamble because for years, exclusive games has been almost paired with PlayStation at the hip. It's what most people talked about for the last 3 years in regards to the platform, all the while bashing Xbox for not having a strong first-party lineup for the last several years, which if you paid attention, some people of course have merit to think like that because over the last 2 years or so, PlayStation has released some of the best games of this entire generation, especially in 2018, all the while Xbox was releasing games that a lot of people didn't find to be that great. But the biggest argument was that Xbox didn't have a strong first-party studio lineup. And while this leak might be way out of line, the changes we've seen over the last year and a half could actually line up with what is being said. We already know that Xbox has more than doubled its first-party studios ever since 2018 E3 till now. They have 15 new studios working on AAA and AA games, not to mention some of those studios have multiple teams within them working on AAA games. Studios like Playground Games has 2 huge studios working on 2 huge AAA games. And that's where we come to PlayStation and what they have lined up. We already know they released multiple games from their first-party lineup, and those studios are still working on their next game. So it might not be out of the question to think that they won't have an exclusive first-party title launch with the PS5. Here's what the article continues to say. Logianov claims the PS5 will not have a single major exclusive at launch, offering buyers enhanced versions of popular PS4 exclusives instead. The Xbox, meanwhile, will get anywhere between 12 to 16 exclusives right on day one, although not all of them will be major releases. It's unclear what these titles are, but if this leak is accurate, then Sony might indeed make it a lot easier for Microsoft to market the Xbox next fall at the expense of the PS5. After all, who doesn't want to buy the brand new console bundle with a brand new game that can showcase best powerful new hardware? Now, this is where the leak gets a little out of hand because it says the PS5 won't have a single major exclusive at launch. Now, that's almost unheard of for a console launch, minus the PS4 Pro, which didn't have a launch title attached to it, at least anything crazy. Now, this leak does seem to be grasping at straws when it says that the console will instead offer enhanced versions of the popular PS4 exclusives. This to me would be a shame to see because it's something that Sony did this generation. Instead of offering backwards compatibility, they resold everyone old PS3 games with the title of enhanced, when in reality it was just a generic port. But this also doesn't make sense considering it's almost confirmed that the PS5 will have backwards compatibility attached to it. So why resell games you can already play on the new console? Unless they don't give enhanced versions of the games to you for free like Microsoft does with the Xbox One X. But to top this quote off, they also say that the Xbox will have 12 to 16 exclusive games right on day one. Now, this is something that's almost staggering and kind of out of this world because that would be a huge launch lineup of games. And we already know for a fact that Halo Infinite, which is going to be the biggest game of 2020 no matter what, is already among them. And you throw in probably Forza Horizon 5 in there and you already have some very solid launch titles at AAA quality. But that's only 2 titles I could think of on the top of my head. The other titles could be anything. They could be second-party deals with other developers that will be exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem. They could be first-party games that Xbox just hasn't shown yet. And with back compat, it would seem that Xbox will also give the games we already own a home on the new Xbox Series X console. It doesn't seem like they're relying on the older games to carry them next generation, and that's what the article says here. Regardless of launch games and exclusives, both consoles should be backwards compatible with previous hardware, which means both PS5 and Xbox buyers will be able to play some of the titles they already own. Unfortunately, it looks like Sony might be relying on that feature a bit too heavily at launch. Now, this is where the article seems a little disheartening because it's hinting that Sony will be relying on back compat and older games to carry their new console, which to me is a bad move because why get a new console day one if they don't offer anything new to you? And that's where I have a problem with this leak because I truly think Sony knows this and they probably have a lot of games to announce at E3 to showcase the new PS5 console. I think they understand Xbox and Microsoft are coming hard next generation and the competition is going to be very stiff. They won't have the power narrative on their side this time, and they won't have the crazy amount of support from all the gamers from every corner like they did this generation. I think they do have third-party and second-party deals in hand so they can launch the console with some sort of exclusive content. We've already seen one of these deals in Godfall, which of course isn't exclusive to the console considering it's going to PC, but it's still a console exclusive that Sony has already shown. And I'm sure they have another second-party deals lined up, just like they did this entire generation. Games like Bloodborne was a second-party deal that carried the console into the new generation. Then they had games like Detroit Become Human, and of course the massive hit Spider-Man, which was made by a second-party developer that ended up joining the PlayStation first-party family. So while I think the first-party developers might not have anything to show for a little while, I do think that Sony will still come ready to fight Xbox every bit of the way next generation, and maybe, just maybe, they'll have Horizon Zero Dawn 2 ready to launch or have it for spring 2021 when the console is a few months out of its release. And at the end of the day, I want both Xbox and PlayStation to come ready to fight for my dollar because it's the best for all of us gamers. If Sony does show up with nothing to offer games-wise, I'd be very annoyed and disappointed because I want them to give me everything they have. And the same goes for Xbox. If they showed up with nothing to offer, I would be annoyed and disappointed. But from what I've seen from Xbox the last year and a half, I have to say I'm not worried about them at all. I mean, this spring alone, they have a game coming out every single month, it would seem. And these are exclusive games that will be coming to Game Pass day and date, which makes me wonder when the new console launches just how many new games will launch with the console and just how many games will be put into Xbox Game Pass that month alone. It's pretty staggering to think about, but it does put a giant smile on my face knowing I'll be able to play them all right when I get my hands on the Xbox Series X for only $10. Now that's something PlayStation truly needs to compete with. But enough about what I think, tell me what you think about this. Do you believe the rumor that PlayStation won't have any exclusive content for the PS5 launch? Does Xbox truly have 12 to 16 games for the Xbox Series X? Does Game Pass make the Xbox Series X console more appealing since you can play all those games at a very low price? Which exclusive game do you think PS5 will launch with? Do you think Sony has a bunch of third and second party deals ready for launch? What will E3 2020 bring to us? Go down below and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support is greatly appreciated, and it helps out more than you know. Also, give me a follow on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. And also follow me on Mixer. I recently started streaming on Mixer because I find the community much more engaging and fun. So if you want to hang out and chat with me, I'm very active with my chat and always playing games. The link will be in the description, and I hope to see you guys there. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.